everybody. My name is Mars. You can call me MG if you would like, and today I will be talking about 10 different series that I would like to reread. Now, I am two things when it comes to reading. I am a series reader and I am a rereader. So I reread my favorite series quite often, but the 10 on this list are ones that it might have been a little while since I've read, or maybe I'm just getting the itch to revisit the series already. So let's just start talking about them. First up on the list is the Ranger's Apprentice series by John Flanagan. I am holding up book 2 because I don't have the dust jacket for book 1, and I thought you would like to look at a nice pretty cover, and also this is my favorite one in the series. But this is a series that has a very special place in my heart. It is definitely one of my favorite series of all time, and I have actually reread it within the recent years. I think it's been about 3 years since I've read it, which is quite recent, but I just love all of these characters and the world and everything, so I'm just feeling that itch again. Like, I want to reread it, so maybe sometime soon, but it's not the highest priority compared to these other ones in the stack. Next up, we have The Navigator by Owen McNamee. This is the first book in a trilogy, and I think the series is just called the Navigator series. But I got this book when I was in, I think, 5th grade. It might have been 4th grade, but I think it was 5th, around that time, when the author actually came to my elementary school and did like an assembly, and we got a copy of this book. This is actually signed and personalized to me and my twin sister, so it's got both of our names in it, and it's such a fond memory. I remember loving this and then getting the second and third books in the trilogy as soon as they came out and reading those, but I don't think I've reread this since that initial reading, and that was like 15 years ago at least. I'm not going to do the math because that's going to make me feel so old, but it's been a long time and I've still kept these on my shelf, so I think a reread is due. As opposed to Ranger's Apprentice, which I recently reread and have read like a million times, this is on this list for a completely different reason. Then we have The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I have these very beat up copies, which were beat up when they came to me because these were my mother's childhood books and she's read them a million times. I've read them a million times. Honestly, I'm surprised they're not falling apart even more than they already are. But I actually meant to reread these books a few years ago, and I reread this one, The Magician's Nephew, and I reread The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but I never actually continued on and read the other books in the series. So I need to remedy that because it has been a couple years since that happened, and I'm still thinking about how I never reread the rest of the series, so I need to get on that. Next, we have the True Love trilogy by Kieran Scott. This is a little similar to my story for The Navigator, except instead of being in 5th grade, I was in high school when I met this author. There was a local like panel happening with local authors, and it was Valentine's Day themed, so it was all romance books, and I bought this entire trilogy and I read them and loved them, and then I never read them again. So it's been less than 15 years. It's probably been like 10 to 12. So it's still been a hot minute, and I definitely don't think this is my taste anymore, but for the nostalgia of it, I want to give it a reread. Then we have The Scholomance by Naomi Novik. I am so back into my dark academia era. If you missed it, I did announce a new book club that I am hosting called the Honeybee Society, and it is a dark academia specific book club, and I'm so excited for that. And the response has also been very great. I'm so glad other people are excited for this book club, but it has me thinking more about dark academia, especially because I'm also working on a dark academia novel myself. So I've just been eyeing this. Maybe I will put it on as a book club pick in the future, and that will prompt me even more strongly to get to it, and I could chat about it with friends. That sounds like an absolutely lovely time. So hopefully other people are as interested in this as I am. The next series on this list is another one that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is the Removable Parts series by Anne Sophie. Anne is a very dear friend of mine. I love her so much, and this was her debut trilogy. It came out a few years ago. She like rapid released the books like one a month, I think, or like maybe every other month. I don't know. They came out very close in time to each other, and I binged them, and they're so good. If you like queer dystopian vibes, definitely check this out. But I haven't read them since they came out a few years ago, so a reread is definitely in order. And going back to the nostalgic reads, we have A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. This series means so much to me, to the point where I have a tattoo from it on my body forever. And I did read this, or reread it, a couple of years ago, but I've also read the series a bajillion times. I remember the first time I picked it up, I only read like 3 or 4 books, and then a year or two later, I tried again and maybe got to book 7 or 8, and it took me a few tries to get through all 13 books in the series, but around the time I was in high school is when I finally got through the whole thing, and it just broke me in such an amazing way. I love the series so much, and I have read it so many more times since then, but I want to revisit it because it is something that I absolutely adore. Then we have one that I wasn't really thinking of rereading before making this list, but as I was combing my shelves for series to put on this list, I saw it and I was like, actually, I'm intrigued by this. I want to revisit it. And that is Seven Sorcerers by Caro King. This is a duology, and I've had these since middle school, and even when I went off to college and did a large cull of my bookshelf, pulling a lot of like children's and middle grade books off to give to my younger cousins, I kept this duology for myself. And I remember bits and pieces. Like, I remember that it's portal fantasy and has a little bit of a horror vibe to the portal world, and it deals with sibling relationships, and it kind of gives like Labyrinth vibes, but if the movie Labyrinth was for children, because of the nature of the conflict in this. And so yeah, I want to check it out again and remind myself why I loved this. Next, the penultimate series on this list is The Mirror Visitor by Christelle Dabos. I love this series, including the ending, which is a very unpopular opinion. A lot of people did not like how book 4 ended, but I thought that it was, like, I would have loved for the ending that other people wanted, but I still thought it was a good ending. And it's a little bit open-ended, which normally isn't my thing, but it was open-ended in a way that I enjoyed, and it gives me room to imagine what happens afterwards, which is always a good thing for me. I love being able to take the characters and, I guess kind of in a fan fiction-y way, write their continuation of their story in my head. So yeah, it's been a hot minute since I read these, and I just want to give it another go. And finally, we come to the 10th series on this list, and that is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. It just seems very timely. This is a comfort series for me, both the books and the movies, and I've been wanting to rewatch the movies a lot lately, but I'm holding off because my friend Stieg and I will actually be buddy reading the Lord of the Rings series this fall. So we're reading The Fellowship of the Ring in September, and then the next one in October, and then the last one in November. I don't know if we're going to be reading The Hobbit together. I should check with him, but I feel like that'd be a perfect December read. So even if I don't buddy read it with Stieg, I will read it on my own. But yeah, this is the only one that I have concrete plans to actually reread soon. So maybe once this is done, I will revisit this list and pick another one off of it to actually reread. But I am absolutely ecstatic to be reading this soon, especially with a friend like Stieg. I love him so much, and I know that he loves Lord of the Rings just as much as I do, so I think we're gonna have great conversations about it, and I can't wait. So there we have the 10 series that I am most excited to reread. Of course, it might take me a little while to actually get around to rereading them, but hopefully not too long. For now, though, we have come to the end of this video, so if you've enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone!